Well, good evening, friends. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally, and I mean literally, does not work. And I'm still getting the bugs out of everything that is out here for our outdoor studio. But I'm going to add a couple of wrinkles here. I've actually got a great idea of one of the things we're going to do here for the set that's going to make it a little more interactive and will be better for those teaching moments. So bear with me. It just hit me how to do it, and I've had to go to the Amazon. Amazon's got everything that you need and order some stuff, and I'm hoping it'll get here early tomorrow because this will actually be great for all of you guys. And I'm trying to stretch out this because I love the music. My man Ron Oliver hooked the brother up. This was just supposed to be the draft party, but it's just that good. So that is the end of the music. So if you've been following the Dallas Cowboys today, and of course, if you're like me, you follow the Dallas Cowboys every single day, you know that Dak Prescott was at the College World Series yesterday and talking about how he believes that this year that this team is going to have a special season, that, they're more focused, they're healthy, they're ready to go. They are a team that's getting together. One of the cool things about Dak Prescott is somebody had hit a home run a few seats down below him. He yells down to him, "Throw it up to me," throws it up to him, and signs his name, autograph on it, and throws it back to him. Now, I'm assuming that was a Cowboy fan. If it was an Eagle fan, well, I guess that wasn't quite as good. But you got to believe in Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is the heart and the soul of this team. The players have gotten so much motivation seeing what he's gone through, and they feel like, man, if he could make it through what he was doing right there, there's no way in the world that I can complain. If he's pushing through, literally having his ankle snapped in half, this pulled muscle that I have or the bruises, it ain't nothing, bro. It ain't nothing. So he's right that they are primed to have a special season if they can stay healthy. Things that matter as far as winning and losing. We always hear people say, well, in games last year that Dak Prescott started and finished with the guys that he had, he was 1-3. The game against the Giants the following week, they were on cruise control. They were on cruise control. And they don't actually look at it and say, well, they did have problems with their offensive line, and their defense was giving up, almost 40 points a game. And they were also playing against the Rams, Seattle, Cleveland, and they did everything they could on the offense. They needed some help from some of the other places, but be that as it may, let them have their talking, let them have their fun, and eventually we will get ours back. But he's right; they are primed. So as we have a few more weeks left before the team ends up heading to Oxnard, tomorrow's already the 1st. We are 3 weeks away from the first practice. We talking about practice here, guys. We talking about practice. On the field, I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait for that. What we have to look at is health is a big issue, and if whether or not we're healthy, because a lot of the players that were injured were key players, mostly on the offense. But we can start looking right now at some of the moves that the Cowboys have made beyond just Dan Quinn, because you need a great system. You need to be where the offense is going to be. You need to know where the point of attack is. That's part of the equation. But you can know where the offense is going to be, and if I'm the one that's out there that's got to fight through it to get it, it's not going to be successful. You have to have the players. And so as we look at the defense, our defensive line was ass last year. To quote Philly 500, they were ass. They were terrible. And we're going to start looking at position by position of our defense and whether or not we have improved in positions or not. I'm going to start with Randy Gregory. Now, Randy Gregory is an absolute man-child. My man Vosh loved him from the beginning, and he's a guy that's had a lot of promises of talent, and we've seen flashes of it, but he hasn't had really a chance because of all the time he's had off. In fact, this is, except for his rookie year, the first time that he'll be able to have a full off season. So the question is, the Cowboys ended up not re-signing Aldon Smith. And Aldon Smith came out. Aldon Smith had a pedigree, had the 5 years off, but came out like gangbusters and was one of the few bright spots, at least for part of the time, on that defense. There's not too many guys you looked at and said, yeah, that guy did really well. The early part of the season, especially when he had that 3-sack game, you looked and said, man, Aldon Smith, boy, the Cowboys made out like gangbusters signing him for peanuts. And when the season ended, a lot of people thought, well, the Cowboys, maybe they should re-sign him. But the Cowboys understood that there was something coming down the pipeline that may end up being a problem. Well, Seattle signed him, and he's now their problem. But more than that, I think the Cowboys did this as a business decision, and they looked and they said, we can extend Aldon Smith, we can extend Aldon Smith and, have to pay a big amount, or we can let him go. Maybe he signs a contract that's big someplace else. We get a compensatory pick. That didn't happen. And we can hold on to Randy Gregory, who's in a prove-it year on his contract, who is only about $1 million, $1.2 million, I believe. And they looked at that and said, let's go with the younger guy. So the question is, have we improved in that position? Is it a wash, or did we take a step back? For my mind, we have to first look at how we're doing the defense. Now, understand, Aldon Smith had the advantage of everybody else having worked in Mike Nolan's system. He was one of the few that said the defense isn't that complex. Now, if we think about how Dan Quinn is going to do this, we're going to be a 3-4-4-3. And what's going to happen with Randy Gregory is it's going to be doing more transitions. He is going to have to sometimes have his hands in the dirt. Sometimes he's going to be standing up. Because the way this defense is going to be predicated on, and this is the reason why they end up getting a guy like Quentin Bohannon, he's going to be the Leo, okay? That's left and, outside. And that's basically a 9 technique. You're going to be very, very wide, and your job is just to get up after that quarterback's ass. You're just going to be going and rushing upfield. But what this defense is predicated on, and the problem we had last year was, you have to be able to toe the line in the middle. Your 1 technique and your 5 technique guys have to be able to stop everything in front of them and hold up, and also occupy the lineman. And that's why you go ahead and you get a Quentin Bohannon, a guy who's a space eater. That's why you get Urban, who's another good run stopper, another good guy that's good at doing the dirty work. And, of course, you have the Canadian bulldozer and possibly Tristan Hill, guys with a high motor that are 300-plus pounds but require you to sometimes take a double team. And if they can do that in the middle, your ends are going to feast. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to get the lion's share. I know a lot of people look at his sack numbers the last 2 seasons and say he's ass, but he is one of the best run stoppers out there. And because he is so good, he does get double teamed more times than not, which makes it easier for the guys on the other side. Hence, Aldon Smith coming out like gangbusters. If you got to pick your poison, do you look and say DeMarcus Lawrence was a couple years ago, just about a finalist for NFL defensive MVP, or do you worry about a guy who's been out of the league for 5 years? You're more worried about the D-Law. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a look at Randy Gregory statistics. Now, here's the thing that's kind of crazy because when we look at Randy Gregory's numbers, there's not a lot there. He's been in the league for 4 years, and a lot of people will say, you're banking on a guy who only has 10.5 sacks in his career. Really? Really? That works out to 2.6 sacks a season. Oh, okay. All right, I hear you. But here's where it's interesting. For last year in 2020, he was suspended for the first 6 games. He only played in 10 games, and I say played in because he didn't get actually a start in any of them. For whatever reason, there was this whole in the doghouse effect for Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan never wanted to start him, and it might be that Aldon Smith was his guy. So with that, only playing in 10 games, he still got 3.5 sacks. He had 21 combined tackles, 15 solo, and 4 tackles for a loss, and 12 quarterback hits. For a guy that only played in 10 games, who did not have a training camp, okay, missed the first 6. And understand this, you had 14 padded practices last year in training camp. During the season, you have 11. He didn't start working out till week 5. He had 5 padded practices last year and played at that level. I dare say anybody coming out cold like that after having been out for 2 years is pretty good. But I know what you're saying. He had 3.5 sacks last year. He had 6 the year before. Gotcha. Aldon Smith had 3 in one game. So let's go to the comparison here. And I think I can actually make this a little bit bigger. Let me see if I can. Okay, because we actually have a comparison numbers, and I hope you guys can see these. If not, you'll have to take my word for it. All right, so here's what we have. We have Randy Gregory here, 2015 to 2020. Aldon Smith, 2011 to 2020. This is per game average. This is what they average. Now, understand, Aldon Smith started all 16 games last year. Aldon Smith had fewer plays going down the stretch than Randy Gregory, but when you think about Randy Gregory's first game, he got 5 plays. Solo tackles. And keep in mind, Randy Gregory has yet to really – we've only scratched the surface of Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory has averaged 1.3 solo tackles. Aldon Smith in his career, where Aldon Smith looked like he was going to be a Hall of Famer until off-the-field issues happened, averaged 2.3. Assist tackles, basically a half for Randy, and 3/4 for Aldon Smith. Not a big deal. Sacks per game, Aldon Smith, 0.7, which is actually very, very high. And for Randy Gregory, 1/3 of a sack. Forced fumbles, they got the same rate. And I don't know if they don't have tackles for loss on the statistics or quarterback hits. But the numbers, right, are not very far for Randy Gregory in the limited time that he has actually played for the Dallas Cowboys. Huh. Oh. Did you hear the thunder? You heard the thunder, didn't you? Okay. It's getting cloudy. We're about to get a thunderstorm. But hopefully the all-weather outdoor studio out here will be fine. Here's where you start looking at this and saying, now that we actually have better defensive linemen, this Leo position that he's going to play. Oh, one other thing before I get to this. Aldon Smith, they have a stat called splash plays, and this is like a sack or a quarterback hit, a forced fumble, basically a game-changing type of a play. And for Aldon Smith, he had a splash play every 28.3 plays. Well, you look at that and say, well, hey, you're probably going to play about 50 or 60 defensive plays. That's good. That means you're getting 2 a game. That's 2 game-changing type plays. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Here's what's interesting with Randy Gregory. And this is one of those things that you wonder, what the hell was Mike Nolan thinking? Because the guys that were doing stuff didn't get opportunities or were in the doghouse, and Randy Gregory truly should have been starting. Splash plays-wise, Randy Gregory made a splash play every 12.5 plays. Let me say that one more time. Splash plays. Randy Gregory made them every 12.5 plays. To put this even in another perspective, DeMarcus Lawrence made splash plays on every 20.3. Huh. And with all of this, with Randy Gregory only playing in 10 games, with Randy Gregory not starting, Randy Gregory was basically second on the team, second or third on the team in tackles for the loss as well as quarterback hits. That's phenomenal in a limited amount of time. So the question now becomes is Randy Gregory an upgrade for the Dallas Cowboys defense over Aldon Smith? I dare say with the way that they're going to use him in this Leo position, and this is kind of like a outside linebacker type of a position, the Cowboys are going to be going after the quarterback's ass. And basically as the Leo, your main responsibility is keeping everything inside of you and basically making a beeline straight for where the quarterback should be back there. Every play. And that is what's going to set you up for a lot more impactful plays. And as the Cowboys end up using a guy like Micah Parsons and putting him in and blitzing him from all over the place, you're not going to know where it's coming from. Being concerned about DeMarcus Lawrence out there, and then also worrying now about Randy Gregory. And if, and this is the big if, and if the big guys in the middle, can hold the space, toe the line, and not allow that quarterback to step up, this defense could be night and day better. You could see this defense make a change like the Washington football team did last year. Washington football team went from 24th to 4th, 20 spaces jumping up. I don't expect that to happen with the Dallas Cowboys, but keep in mind, Kansas City's defense is only ranked about 16th, and they were in the Super Bowl. So, hopefully, you guys enjoyed this little tad bit of information that we had for you guys. I love coming in here and working here in my spot. It's kind of warm out here right now, but, if you can't stand the heat, you need to get your ass out the kitchen. And it is time. You know what time it is. It's time to get up on out of here. Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them Cowboys? And as always, I appreciate you guys.
For us today, and we'll leave you with a I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Do it live. I can write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks. 5, 4, 3. That's tomorrow. That is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album.